Weekend of football on Sky Sports Premier League with West Ham versus Chelsea from 11 tomorrow before Liverpool host Everton and Man United welcome Man City on Derby Day this Super Sunday. Sky Sports Premier League. And we have with us Sky Sports football experts. You'll know these guys, Jamie Redknapp, Thierry, Henry. How you doing?
Good to see you guys.
How are you guys?
Ça va, Thierry?
Ça va, merci, et toi?
You speak more English than French these days.
Yes, I do. I still remember my French, don't worry.
Let's get straight into the action because we'll start with the first game, Merseyside Derby. Jamie, you're ex-Liverpool. They've been playing fantastically, scoring amazing goals. The display in midweek was phenomenal, but they're up against Sam Allardyce's Everton on Sunday. Has he had enough time to make a difference, do you think?
Well, I think Everton having back-to-back wins has helped them no end. You know, they've got a bit of confidence now. They've underperformed in these Merseyside derbies for a long while now, Everton. They've not really, I would say, got after Liverpool, made it difficult for them. And Liverpool at the moment, going forward, I think, you know, the Fab Four everyone's talking about, you know, Salah and Mane, the goals they scored, Coutinho's hat-trick and Firmino. That's what you've got to do. You've got to try and stop them. Easier said than done. But at least Everton now, with a manager in place, they'll be going to it with a bit of confidence. I have to be honest, I do fancy Liverpool. That's not on my Liverpool hat on. I just think, you know, going forward, they've got so many different options. You know, a little bit. But no, I just got a feeling that, you know, that Liverpool, they're so hard to stop. And Everton defensively, Sam's had a bit of time to work with them, Thierry, isn't he? But, you know, probably not enough yet.
Well, we've seen the result recently. Doesn't try to pass the ball early from the back. We all know what I always see with Sam Allardyce is, even in his Bolton days, we used to struggle playing against them with Arsenal. He won there last year with Palace. Let's not forget that. I remember Bolton. He won at United. You remember Ricketts scoring the winner. So he usually does have an habit of upsetting big teams. Why? Because he doesn't give you space. And Liverpool do struggle usually when they don't have space. And if the best example, sorry, that Everton had is do not play like that team played against them in midweek Moscow, because if you open yourself like that against Liverpool, you're going to get punished, because those guys like to run in behind. And I'm a big fan of Mo Salah. I said that for a very long time. It's very refreshing for me that you see footballers now, especially strikers, when you see Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. And Firmino usually, more often than not, comes to the ball because he's very, very sound of holding the ball and putting people in. But when one guy drops, you need to have two runs. That's what creates confusion. If everybody drops, I can play centre back with Jamie. You know, they're all here. You can kick them, you stay here, you put pressure. But when you have Salah going that way, Sadio Mane going that way, Firmino on the ball with Coutinho, it becomes difficult. And those guys are very refreshing, especially Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, because they always ask for the ball in behind. Normally, Liverpool should win that in what we've been seeing recently, but we all know in this league that it's not always a sure thing. So we will see what's going to happen. And Sam Allardyce knows how to win away in big stadium.
I'm still thinking about me and you at centre-back.
If they stay in front, no.
Now. I want them up. You could have Mane and Salah then.
If they stay here, yes. If they go behind, it's for you.
Yeah.
Well, they're already talking. I think we had Merse on and Jeff Sterling talking earlier. But it needs Liverpool to score an early goal, because otherwise Sam's going to sit so deep. His fullbacks are going to be basically glued to the grass. They're not going to be able to go anywhere, because Liverpool, like you said, the movement, the space and the pace they play at is just ridiculous to watch.
Is there an element, though, that, you know, if Sam will... I'm not saying he'll take a 1-0 defeat or a 2-0 defeat, but he will really want to avoid a hammering.
Of course.
So even if Liverpool get that early goal, is there a case to say that he will still be quite cautious?
And that's that fear factor. I remember playing in derbies at Tottenham, we played against Thierry's Arsenal side, and before the game, and it's not a defeatist, you were thinking to yourself, let's not get beat 3-4 here. You know, you look at the players and how can we've got to find a way of stopping them. And make no mistake, that's what Everton will be thinking. In midfield, how do we get around them? How do we make sure we don't give them too much space? Do we deny them space by dropping off and playing it in very deep? They're the options that you're going to have, and trying to find a way to stop Liverpool is very difficult at the moment. But what you have to say about Liverpool, as good as they are going forward, they're susceptible defensively. Set pieces, they've conceded so many goals. And that's what I think of late. They've almost said, right, the best form of defence for us is just attack teams. But Everton, set pieces, anything can happen. If Everton score early and get a goal, I've seen it in derby games before, it can all change. And could you imagine Sam Allardyce if he won this one? What a hero it'd be at, you know, Goodison. So he has to think about causing Liverpool problems as well defensively, because I don't think teams have really got after them and made it difficult for them lately.
Well, he was in the stand the first one, right? He wasn't supposed to be running the team, but he obviously had some kind of influence. The second one was a clean sheet. I mentioned this earlier. And then the third one, he didn't even go to the Europa League game, but it was another clean sheet. Right. So he's been there 3 games and he hasn't conceded yet.
Well, the toughest test will be at
Liverpool.
I think there was when you play against a team and you fear them, all you're thinking about is not losing. When you don't fear a team, you think about winning, and ultimately they're going to have to try to do something. If you compare that game to the game in midweek, remember that Moscow, they had to win to qualify. People need to remember that. That's what when they conceded early, suddenly they had to go. They had to go and again, and then it became way too open, and it was a bit too much at the end. But Everton, 1-0, as you said, they're still in the game. A free kick, a corner, a mistake, and they're going to play on that. But ultimately, if you want to win a game, you have to find a way to attack. And I go back to last year. He won there with Palace. So let's see what's going to happen. He has a habit of finding a way, Sam Allardyce, in this type of a game. So making Everton believe that they can beat Liverpool, because I think Cara was talking about it on CB the other day. He was saying that sometimes they didn't have a great team, but he knew they were going to beat Everton because they were fearing them, and you can see it sometimes when they go there.
What about the Manchester derby? You played under Pep Guardiola, an unbelievable football from Man City. You'd say your Arsenal side were phenomenal at times. Would you say that Man City this year have played the best football we've seen in the Premier League?
Listen, I don't like to compare teams. I don't like to, because people always do that. Was the treble United, the this, the that, or whatever. But what I can do is respect what a team does, because I know how hard it is to go out there and perform every weekend or every 3 days if you bring the Champions League in it, and play well and entertain people and play with that structure that we always talk about Pep. Stay in your position, pass the ball is faster than anyone. They always play in your half, which is way more difficult. It demands a lot of intensity. But I respect that team so much, because if you like the game, I don't care what, maybe not the Man United fan will agree with that, but if you don't like how City plays, then you don't like football. You know, so you have to admire that, because it's not easy to perform like that, especially in our league. To do that week in, week out, only 1 draw against Everton actually, it's just crazy when you think about it. But can United stop them? That's what everyone hopes, because we want a race. Like we want to have a title race, right? But me as a competitor, when you think about it also, why not admiring when a team is doing so well and understanding what it requires from the boss, from everyone at City? It is not easy. So yes, we kind of all want United to win, because you want to have a title race. But on the other side, I'm like, hold on a minute, you're working hard to be at the top. Why we always want to knock the person that's at the top to make sure that they can have a problem? So yes, hopefully it can be a good game. They are amazing. I don't like to compare teams. All I know is that team is unbelievable.
They're a joy to watch as well. I think that's the thing. Thierry and I were just doing Sky Sports News, and the best midfield and the best team I think I've ever seen was the Barcelona team that Thierry played in, and so forth. And the midfield players playing in that position, watching Iniesta and Xavi, just 2 technicians, and watching De Bruyne and Silva in midfield. They resemble them to a certain extent. Not at that level yet, so before any listeners start going, not in that level. But they manipulate the ball, the way they circulate it, the way they always want it, and even when they're losing or in difficult positions, they're so good, and they complement each other so well, because they are different. You know, De Bruyne's got that cutting edge, and he maybe plays that final ball better than what Silva does. But Silva's the one that makes them tick. When you watch them live, and if anyone hasn't seen them, try watch David Silva. Just watch him for a bit, because he conducts the orchestra. He's the one that makes the team tick. He dictates the pace that they play at. And those 2 in midfield are the closest I've seen to, as I say, Iniesta and Xavi. Amazing.
You know what it is I played with those guys. Fortunately for me, they were just amazing. But to talk about what you're talking about is, I always say, the brain is a massive factor in how you play football. You know, you always hear go in the gym, you always hear go that, do this, do that. You rarely see a guy that's going to tell you, I'm going to improve your brain and how to see the game and how to be faster and how to understand better. What you have with those 2 guys is they are on the same level here. no matter how they play, one is quicker, one's going to cross earlier, one plays a bit shorter. Kevin De Bruyne likes to cross early. David Silva likes to say that he likes to cook you. You know, you are not ready. Comes back, tests the meat, not ready. Now, when there is an opening, boom, he plays it. So they are on the same level there, and people do forget that football is played here for me. You know, and he was also the same. He used to have that awareness. They're aware of what they need to do because they have also a guy that gives them a plan and the structure to express themselves. And I think that you can talk about obviously Andres Iniesta and Xavi. Xavi had a certain way. Andres was driving a bit less now because obviously age are coming into your legs and it becomes a bit more difficult. But the brain part of the game is very important, and those two, not only those two, but since we're talking about them, those two have it.
Jamie, Thierry, stick around for a bit. I want to pick your brains on Pep a little bit more, Thierry. The Merseyside and the Manchester Derbies, both live only on Sky Sports Premier League on Sunday.